and something freaky happened to me. It all started during a really bad time in my life. My best friend Annie was in a mood with me. I wasn't doing great at school, and my parents were arguing all the time. Being an only child, I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to, and I just felt so lonely. It was a rainy Saturday evening, and I could hear my parents arguing downstairs. I wanted a distraction from what was going on in my life, so I turned my One Direction song up and went on my laptop. I sent Annie a message telling her how upset I was and that I missed her. I could see that she'd read the message, but she didn't reply. Fine then. If she wouldn't talk to me, then I'd find someone else who would. I searched teen chat rooms and ended up on this neon-colored homepage. It looked pretty retro, but at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted someone to chat with who didn't hate me. You could either upload a picture of yourself or choose an avatar. I chose an avatar of a cartoon girl with pink hair because I thought she looked cool. I clicked into one of the chat rooms and posted the message, "Hi, I'm Emily. Does anyone want to chat?" "Hey Emily, I'd love to chat. I'm Hayden." This boy with a spiky-haired cartoon avatar replied. He invited me to a private chat and we started talking. He told me that he was 16, he was really into superhero films, and that he didn't like school very much. We instantly got on, and I found myself telling him all about my life. He was supportive and told me that his parents argued a lot too. Talking to Hayden made me feel like I wasn't alone. I chatted with Hayden every night that week. Talking to him made me forget about my other problems. It was like I was in a bubble away from everything. There were a few odd things about Hayden that, at the time, I chose not to take much notice of. The first one was that he wouldn't talk on camera. His reason for this was that he'd bust his camera after he dropped his phone. He had sent me a couple of pictures, and I sent him some back, so I told myself that he must be legit. Another odd thing was that the only emoji he ever used was the basic smiley face one. My mom only ever used the smiley face one too because she wasn't sure what the rest meant. I shrugged this off and told myself that he must just really like the smiley face emoji. I continued to talk to Hayden and I felt myself falling for him. My school and home life were terrible, but he gave me an escape. When he suggested that we meet up in person, I said yes. Hayden lived a few towns away from me, so that weekend, I told my parents I was going to Annie's, as they had no idea we'd fallen out. Instead, I took the bus to meet Hayden. No one knew where I really was or who I was meeting. He wanted to meet up at his house, but I refused to do this. I didn't want to show up on his doorstep and have to talk to his parents. He gave me the address of a coffee shop and told me to wait outside. I stood there shivering with nerves. What if he didn't like me? What if he stood me up? A man older than my dad came round the corner and smiled at me. At first, I just thought he was being polite, so I smiled back. He walked over to me, and I thought he was going to ask me for the time or something. "Hi, Emily. I'm Hayden's dad. Hayden's at home and told me to come and get you," he said. I didn't understand why Hayden had sent his dad to come meet me. Something didn't feel right. I asked him why Hayden wasn't here, and he said that he was setting up a surprise for me at home. I wasn't sure what to do. I had suspicions that this wasn't right, but I was so desperate to meet Hayden. I told this man that I'd come with him. I just needed to use the bathroom in the coffee shop first. When I said this, his expression changed. He told me that he only lived around the corner so I could use his bathroom. I said that I'd only be a minute and started walking towards the coffee shop door. He grabbed my arm and started dragging me up the street. I shouted that he was hurting me and to let go, but he only pulled harder. A man was walking past and asked me if I was okay. Hayden's dad smiled at him and said, "Yes, everything's fine. My daughter's just acting up. You know how it is." Daughter? I wasn't his daughter. I screamed out that I'd never met this man before and he wouldn't let go of me. The man told Hayden's dad to let go of me right now. Hayden's dad hesitated before he shoved me onto the ground and then hurried off. The man helped me up and took me into the coffee shop. I called my parents and told them what happened and where I was. When I saw my mom walk into the coffee shop, I burst into tears as I was so relieved to see her. She hugged me and told me that it would all be okay and that I was safe now. My dad called the police and they found and arrested the man claiming to be Hayden's dad. Turns out that it was him I'd been talking to all along. He was Hayden. He'd just been posing as a teenage boy to lure me in. I explained to my parents how lonely I felt and how I hated them arguing. They apologized and admitted that things needed to change. They're getting couples counseling, and the arguing isn't as bad as it was. Annie still isn't talking to me, but I've made a new friend called Gita. As for chat rooms, I can safely say that I am off them for life. Thanks for listening to my story, guys. I know that I was lucky, as if that man hadn't helped me, I would have ended up in that creepy guy's house, and anything could have happened to me. I felt so lonely and isolated that I put myself in a dangerous situation that could have ended far worse than it did. Now I have a lesson from my mistakes.